Good morning, BBH. I see a bunch of comments. Let me say hi to everyone. Hi, Alex. Hi, Bridget. Hi, Ashley. Hope you're well after again streaming everything. That's all three of you. Someone else is watching, but they haven't commented, so no good morning for you. We're here to talk about BBH20 day one. It was a little bit of a slow start because of still that get to know you phase, but man, once that twist drops, this house just exploded. I'm so excited to talk about kind of the dynamics because we have three very interesting teams to kind of break down. So, got two lovely people here to talk about it. He's back. It's Mitchell Stokes.
Hey, I'm also very behind on work, but couldn't miss the opportunity to be here, so I will be working throughout this.
Also behind on work, but I just don't care. Yeah, I was supposed to turn in a coaching note like mid last week and just didn't do it. So whatever, we'll get around to it. And making their BBH20 Morning Tea debut. They've been on pretty much every season of Morning Tea since they won BBH16. It's Elise.
Hi. I'm also behind on work, so my laptop open over here.
We love all being behind. Oh man. Alrighty. I mean, there really isn't a whole ton to talk about in terms of like the beginning before the twist. I think everyone really pulled their own weight here on day one. Like the person who called the least was Rizzo, and he still made 4 calls. So if that's the least amount of calls that was made by anyone on this cast, that tells you how busy and crazy the day was. Like, Rizzo was 4, and then the next lowest was Louise, Christian, and Liv at 6 each. I mean, Jabbar came out of the woodwork and made 13, 14-ish calls. Like he nearly called the entire cast, and he called some people multiple times yesterday. Like everyone really came out in strides, and I was very proud of all of them for getting out there and getting on calls. Was every call successful? No, not at all. But the fact that the effort was made is all I can ask for. So, but before we get into the twists and the fallouts and stuff, there are some fun trend alerts and some alliances that were formed and all that fun bullshit. So, coming into today, we already had Ashley's former castmates, which is just the BBH 18 people of Frankie, Preston, and Madison. We also had, we saw the formation kind of this on day 0. It is MTV, which is Megan, Trey, and Victoria. This spurred out of Trey and Victoria kind of playing this. We're going to be neutral about each other, but they both really like Megan, so let's pull in Megan. But now, Miss Victoria, what the fuck you be doing? Miss Victoria got on call with Jabbar. She has a pre-existing relationship with him from Conquest 22, I think, and very much said that she is worried that Trey and Megan are going to be besties. They're going to be number ones. And Jabbar was like, no, what the fuck? Yeah. So Jabbar has a better connection to the other two that she just implicated in Megan and Trey, and very much ran and told both of them. And they're both like, now what the fuck? Like, Victoria, the alliance was your idea. You wanted this to happen. Now you're throwing us under. What the hell? I don't know what the fuck she'd be doing.
I need to know her reasoning. Like, why?
Sometimes people just be saying shit, you know? Like, and that's like, I love Victoria, but I think sometimes she just be saying shit. Like, I truly don't know the reasoning behind it. She didn't really give us any insight into like why she felt the need to do that. It's just odd. Like, it's weird to make an alliance with people and then immediately throw them under the bus. Like, that doesn't make sense. So that's all I have to say about it, because I truly can't even like try to understand what she was thinking, because it doesn't make sense.
Not at all.
If she had like let them know that, because like I know like her and Trey have this like idea of like we're going to act like we don't like each other to other people because of their history from 19, but like this feels like something you tell the alliance, like, hey, I'm gonna tell Jabbar about this. So when he tells you, don't be surprised. Like, I don't know. This is, but also like, why would you? I don't know. It's just strange. I'm not really sure what.
A step too far. Like that's, you can make it seem like you're not close, but to just go around spreading that is especially so early.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not a good
and this is honestly so true. Like, for real. Like, it's just like, honestly.
Content, mom. I don't get it, but it's just unfortunate. Victoria's not in the best of spots, and this was definitely two people who were willing to give her an opportunity in this game, and it feels like they both, while they haven't like venged war against her, they're both like, now what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
My good ma'am. So we'll see kind of where this goes. Luckily, she is not in any team with them, so they've had to focus their attention elsewhere. So we'll see if maybe this just blows over, or maybe something else happens that trumps. God forbid I say that word. I love that word, but I hate that it's associated with that man. Ugh. But maybe something else will like mask the fact that she did this. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, it really, the talk of it died because it was spreading. Like, people were finding out about it and were hearing about it, and then the twist came out, and it was like, next thing, on to the next. What celebrity said something wild next? Like, honestly, it had that energy to it.
So we'll see, but I just had to bring it up because I thought it was so fucking funny. We have Black Coffee that is formed. They said that it was their joke name, but I honestly really love the name, so I hope
it's fun.
It's Trey, Lamont, and Jabbar, which we talked about on day 0, that Trey and Lamont really had a good bonding experience from their mutual connection of Jabbar. So we expected this to be formed. So, and we'll come back to Black Coffee because they have a really fun moment before the twist gets revealed.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about this alliance, and I want to preface this that and I want to be careful about how I approach talking about it, because I do think it's strategically interesting to consider that part of the reason that they have formed a trio is that they are the 3 black male orgers that are in the game. And obviously I have nothing against that, and I support them in making that decision. The interesting thing to me is that there are varying levels of commitment to how important it is for them to feel I think Trey in particular is the series has never had a black male winner. That would be so cool. It would be awesome. Jabbar, who just kind of went on that journey in what game was that? Conquest. Conquest. Just kind of went on a similar journey in that series, and has been very upfront in saying, I don't have the capacity to commit to that goal again, because I'm here for me to I'm here to play the best game for me. And so I'm very intrigued and interested by the group itself, because they're wonderful and amazing people. But I also am a little concerned that it didn't come out organically in a way that is going to make it last. That's my one concern with it. I think they have, there's a beautiful mission for them, but I don't think all of them are equally committed to that mission. And so I'm curious to see how long it actually lasts into the game.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Jabbar say somewhere in his DR that he felt like him and Trey were not?
Yes.
Yeah, they
in the same game mindset.
And that was after their first call. And I remember I was sitting on that call, and I was like, Trey is really pitching for Lamont, and Jabbar is we'll see. I haven't really vibed with him yet. And then Trey is really pitching for Caro, and Jabbar is we'll see. There's every time Trey was pushing an idea, Jabbar was kind of I don't know. And I think they do really have different perspectives on the game as it stands right now.
Oh, I mean, not only do they have different perspectives on who they want to work with, Trey and Jabbar's mindset on how to play these early rounds could not be more drastic. Trey is playing the game of, I have my ride or die people, and anyone who's not in this group is eligible to go up and be evicted. I do not care.
Mm-hmm.
He was very much my final 5, my final 6 people, those are the final 6. Anyone else, you're not there, so I don't care what happens to you. 18th, 13th, 9th, don't care, you're not in the top 6. Jabbar's oh, babes, I got short-term allies and long-term allies. There are people who I will not nominate now, but I'll nominate them in 5 rounds from now. And Trey's very much that's dumb. If you don't want them in your end game, nominate them now. Why not? Jabbar is very more playing chess, and Trey is playing brash checkers. He's like, nope, these are my pieces. If you're not my pieces, bye. But Jabbar's like, no, these people are my pawns for now. I'll get rid of them later, but right now they're with me. So they just have two very different mindsets, and Jabbar and Lamont are on the same team coming to this twist, and they do not see eye to eye on what they want to happen. Lamont very much wants Frankie out. Jabbar does not. We'll get to that. Jabbar wants Miss Nikki gone. So this alliance is very interesting because, yeah, the unification factor is not really based in anything other than the mission, which is really, I fully support that. I support the mission. But when it's just the mission, we saw how it worked out in Conquest. And that's kind of what Jabbar was alluding to yesterday on their call, being like, love the mission, but I did that last season with a bunch of people who didn't align on game, and that made it very difficult to the point where they almost lost the mission. Karthik almost won that season, and because they didn't align on game, it then almost ruined the entire mission. They got that close and almost lost it all. So I think Jabbar can see the fact that they don't align on game right now, so it's hard to make all of those pieces work. But I'm really intrigued by them, and I'm intrigued to see kind of what they can do, because I have a feeling, well, at least two of them will be here. Maybe all three will still be here come round two. We'll see. But I want to say all three of them will still be here.
I think so. I think it's a much higher chance that all three of them are still here than it is that one of them.
I have PTSD after jinxing Trey, so I don't want to like jinx anything after last.
No, and I mean, and imagine how we feel, and we're way ahead of it, but like how we feel after getting on here yesterday and being like, oh, Megan won day 0, and now this girl might be the first boot. Like, it's wild.
Yeah, really nasty. And the other alliance that forms really is more so out of the twist, and we'll get to it, is Whoop Whoop, which is Caro, Liv, and Preston. I know I have some interesting feelings about this alliance, but we'll get to it when we get to it.
Baby.
We'll get there. So we have 4 alliances in the house. There might be some more to come. We thought we might see a Michael, Louise, and Caro alliance form. This might have to be put on the back burner just because of the twist, because Michael and Caro together, but Louise is in her own little bucket. So that might have to wait. And then Caro, Megs, and Trey could also be an alliance to come. But again, we'll probably be on the back burner until all the groups unite once again. But just looking forward for that. Trend alert, of all the calls before the twist happened, I just thought this was really the only thing that really came out of it, was just this idea of these players are scary, but I want them to be scary on my side, really relating to Preston, Megs, and Megan were like kind of the big players that were like, ooh, they're really super scary strategic or social threats. But for the most part, everyone's like, I want them on my side. I don't want to boot them, but I want them on my side. And that was kind of like the only really game talk we kind of had leaning into the twist. So intrigued to see where this goes, because 2 of them I think are in pretty big danger this round, in Preston and Megan. And it could turn into, well, this is an opportunity to take out said threat this early. So I'm intrigued to see how all this will play out. But let's get into the twist and kind of the fun shit that spills from it, because really nothing else happened before then that was worthwhile talking about, because everyone's on different pages. Like everyone, like we talked about it yesterday, where Louise's top ally right now is Preston, but Preston is not seeing Louise at that same level. And there's just a bunch of that. Like Victoria clearly trusted Jabbar to tell him information like that, and then he ran and told the 2 people and incriminated. So people just have bad reads in terms of who they're trusting. Like Rizzo thought the call with Megs he had was awful, and Megs is like, one of my favorite calls was Rizzo. There's just this interesting dynamic of people having bad reads or being skeptical of each other to the point where it's hindering that mutual line of seeing each other on the same level. So it's intriguing, but luckily I think the twist kind of has put an end to that for now. So we won't even talk about it, because honestly, who knows when the houses merge what will come out of this. But the twist, for those who did not catch up, we have 6 different teams that were blind drafted by our team captains, which were the worst ranking players in each category. So in Team Brain, drafted by Sarah, which I'm shocked she was last. Shooketh that she was last. Like, y'all really, and some of y'all know she was runner up. Some of y'all know that she went to the end of season 5. Y'all really acting y'all really acted dumb with this one. But Sarah, I get she's a newbie and a newbie to y'all, and I get you don't know her, but I don't know, her track record speaks for itself. Like,
yeah, and she's over it. Like so we had an filmed DR chat with her after the like twist results came out, and she had to do the draft and everything, and she was like, I feel like I need to like walk around and tell everyone that I'm not stupid. Like, and I was like, obviously you're not stupid, Sarah. Like, you know that, we know that. Like, and she was like, it's just so frustrating to be viewed as somebody who doesn't know what's going on because I haven't played a game in 2 years. Like, do you think I've not played a game in the last, like a single game, social strategy or any sort of game in the last 2.5 years that requires me to use my brain? Do you think I don't use my brain every day? Like, she was just like, I'm so, like, she's just so over it. And like, and I don't blame her. Like, I truly don't blame her because like, there's one thing to talk about. Are players who have played a long time ago able to adapt to the pace? That's one thing. But to make the claim that they don't understand how Big Brother works, or that they like that they don't like that's just silly, right? Like, it's just so silly. So she's over it. But I just told her, I said, listen, the question is, what do you do now? You know, like, you know, and you can only say so much as a production without overstepping the line, but it's like, okay, that's how they perceive you. What are you going to do about it? It was what I told her. And she was like, oh, don't worry. And I was like, well, there you go.
She teams really well. I mean, we were saying that she's super well insulated on her team. So
oh, she got every single person she wanted.
Oh yeah.
So
really, I mean, I don't, obviously a lot of luck involved in there because you're blind drafting, but like, good to maybe be like, all right, I want Erica. Where do I think Erica would rank? Maybe she's Erica, because we see it yesterday where Trey wanted Liv on his team and picked a card that he thought was Liv and was Liv.
Yeah.
Was high strategic, high physical, low social. He's like, that screams Liv. I want that card. And he got Liv. So there is some element of being like, all right, here are the pieces I want. Where do I think the group would rank them? I'm going to take a gamble and say this is who I want, and hoping that it is them. And Sarah got everyone she wanted. She wanted Erica, she wanted Lamont, and she wanted Nikki, and got all three of them. So again, don't know how much of that was like intelligent perception or how much of it was just like she went for the comp threats, because a lot of them were ranked really high on the comp side. So how much of it was just her really trying to like stack her team with comp threats? Not really sure, but like, she got what she wanted, so clearly she did something right.
And on the call, like, she was ready. She was taking like writing notes or something, and like every time her card came up, she was ready for her pick. So it really felt, as a viewer watching, that she was being the most strategic with her picks when she like got voted the least strategic. So that was interesting.
Yeah, and we talked about it with her, and I think she watched 15, Morning Tea and all that stuff, where I was very harsh on Ian, who also comes from BBH1. Obviously, Ian was not playing a great game and was not really integrating well. But I think she sees that these older orgers from BBH just have more to prove. Like, you have to integrate quickly. You have to show them that you are adaptable and show them that, like, I'm up to speed with y'all. I can org just with the best of y'all. And I think just based off of just day one impressions, she just didn't reach that for them. Day 2 was day 0 was not as successful. Day 1, she was really successful. She had 7 or 8 calls, wooing everyone she was on call with. So had the rankings maybe happened yesterday rather than based off of just the first day, I think she might not have ended there, but it worked out for her. So work. So Sarah drafted Team Brain. She ended up with, I think I still have the graphics in here actually. Do I? Maybe. Yes, I do. Brain. Sarah drafted this team. She ended up with Erica, Frankie, Jabbar, Lamont, and Nikki. So got the 3 she wanted. Tack on Frankie and Jabbar. Next, we had Team Bubbly, which was drafted by Victoria. I don't think she wasn't shocked. She was the team captain of this one. Victoria ends up with a bunch of the comp threats in terms of this personal HOH. So Christian, Louise, Madison, Megs, Rizzo, and herself, Victoria, and ending up on Team Braun. Shocked that Trey was the lowest on this one. I don't really understand this ranking here, but whatever. He ends up with Carol, Liv, Megan, Michael, Preston, and himself. So,
and And I think is at this point in time that we should discuss the potential that this factored into the twist in some capacity. There were certainly some players who, hi Dan Alt, there are certainly some players who just did it alphabetically and tanked the people at the bottom. And you know, who knows? Like, was 24 hours enough time to get an accurate depiction of a social strategy and a physical competitor? You know, there were lots of conversations on day zero. What kind of player are you? Like, what, so there are people that were having the right conversations to receive that information. Did they do anything with it is the question. And so, yeah, I certainly think this was something that Trey, Sarah, and Victoria picked up on pretty quickly, and at least were using to placate their feelings of feeling a little scorned. And I who knows how much this really factored in. I mean, I guess we could run the numbers and see, but it's interesting to think about.
Yeah, because I can think of a couple people who ranked completely just alphabetical, but yeah, then there's others that I look at Liv, for example, who her scorecard was perfect. Like, she was like 4th and 5th strategically and physically, and then was 12th socially. I thought that was like a perfect embodiment of who Liv is as a player. And I was like, wow, y'all really clocked her. And then you have people like Sarah, where I'm like, this scorecard is terrible. This doesn't reflect her at all. So like, it was interesting where I'm like, some of these are really good and some of these are just trash. So I don't know.
I think people make snap decisions and like all the time, and I think this was like if you looked at it like a bell curve of like who came in first, I think Jabbar makes a lot of sense that he had like first everywhere. And then you look at like the people at the bottom, it does make sense in the game sense of like making snap decisions on like, I don't know Victoria, I don't know Sarah, maybe I don't know Trey as well. You put them at the bottom, and in the middle, I think is where you get a little bit of like, who knows how it's fuzzy, but
so who knows? But you know what? It worked out for them, honestly. Honestly, I think all three of them will have the highest likelihood of all still being here come round 2. So honestly, it worked out with what we wanted the people who were deemed the worst to have some type of like upper hand, to like have some extra information, be told that, hey, you're at the bottom, and hopefully make something of it. And I think all three will still be here come round 2. So in that sense, I think it worked out. But at 6 p.m. today, we'll crown a head of household, which is the player who has the highest score in the BBH arcade. Each team will then run their own separate round of Big Brother, with everyone participating in the veto, having initial noms, veto ceremony, and replacement noms if necessary, and then an eviction on Wednesday. But in terms of cancellations of those evictions, the first eviction will be canceled based off of the overall team that did the best in the BBH arcade, and then the 2 losing players from those houses will then compete in a live duel on Wednesday, where the winner will re-enter the game as if it never happened. The loser is out forever. So let's get into these teams, because they are interesting. I'm going to start off with the least interesting team, and that is Team Bubbly. Bubbly is the least interesting one because it is highly likely that they are the team that is safe. Again, we have a lot of people who are withholding scores, so that might not end up being true at all. We have a lot of people who are talking about how they're withholding scores till the last minute. So right now they're winning. That could completely fucking change come 6 p.m. today. So right now, but the reason that they're the least interesting is that Louise, Christian, and Megs all have a good rapport with one another. They had some really good calls yesterday, and all are like, yep, we should keep each other safe. Madison, Victoria, and Rizzo are at the bottom of this house, likely ending up with Madison and Victoria being the initial noms. Rizzo would be a replacement nom, seeming that this house would evict Madison. Maybe they might evict Victoria, but this house is pretty cut dry.
Mm-hmm.
There's really just not much to it.
The interesting thing is who's going to be the HOH, honestly. Like, because I think there's a couple people that really could end up winning, just depending on how the games shake out. I know we're keeping that information close to the chest if as possible. But there's certainly an interesting race there for HOH, but I think a lot of the results end in the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say, it's a 3-way race right now. I mean, Rizzo's not doing super great. Megs, Rizzo, and Victoria have all submitted scores but aren't doing as well on the leaderboard. Christian, Louise, and Madison all still have scores up there. So any of them could win, honestly. But here's the thing. Victoria could be holding a bunch of fucking scores and then come out and take anyone. Like, no one is ahead enough where it's locked up. Right now, if I'm betting my money, it's going to be Madison, Louise, or Christian. But that's the fun thing. If Madison wins, who fucking knows who she's nominating? No fucking idea. But if Louise or Christian wins, it'll likely be Madison and Victoria heading up on the block. Maybe Madison Rizzo, but we'll have to see. But it's just not a very interesting house, just because there seems to be a pretty unified group dynamic as to kind of what's going to be happening. So
I still think with safety, like there's still how are you picking your noms? Like you still have to manage that because someone is going out the door. Like you will evict them and like that will show cards. So even though it's going to be straightforward, is it a conversation of, oh, I know we're safe and I'm just going to put whoever participated least on the arcade? I think that makes sense. But I also see some people in this house, if they win HOH, they're like, I don't like you. And so you're going to go, and then you're going to be safe and they'll deal with that for the rest of the game. So
shall be intriguing, but definitely the next two houses are kind of upset that both Madison and Victoria are in the same house. That has been a storyline, as some people are really upset that they ended up in the same house because they were two of the easier targets for this round. So they're kind of like, of course they'd end up in the same house and they both can be targeted there, but the wealth was not spread out in terms of equal targets. Let's get to the next interesting house. I think there's some interesting dynamics here. It is Team Brain. This is Sarah's team. And if I'm the only person who's safe, in my opinion, is Sarah. Sarah,
honestly,
she got perfect combination for her. Like, had she had a different combination, she might not be as safe, but she ended up with a perfect combination of people who love her. Erica, Lamont, and Nikki will not touch Sarah under any circumstances. Jabbar is not thinking about touching Sarah, but it doesn't matter because he's throwing the HOH. And Frankie has already promised to not nominate Sarah, but Frankie is probably not going to win either. So Sarah is the only person, honestly, who I feel like is 1,000% completely safe. The other five of them, because this HOH is... I don't know who's going to win this HOH. It is truly so up in the fucking air between Erica, Lamont, and Nikki.
It's because they're all doing so horrible. Like, like this team has absolutely no chance of being safe.
They are one.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
they are someone. Period. And end of story. There's just no hiding it. I'm sorry. I wish I could hide it more. There's no chance this team is winning. They are losing. It is between Braun and Bubbly for the win. They are absolutely losing. It's bad. I think their HOH right now has single-digit points in the BBH20. It's bad. It's not good. And the thing is they're going to know it. And this is the way I say it. When the HOH is crowned tonight, they're going to know that they're the losing house because the HOH is going to look at that leaderboard and go, well, if I'm the winner on this team, we're not winning. So I'm not even going to try and pretend to hide it here. But it is truly up in the air between right now, Erica, Lamont, and Nikki in terms of who wants to submit scores, who has shown that they can submit scores. I don't think Frankie or Jabbar will win. And Sarah, I think, is still in it technically, but she has no fucking reason to win. So I think she won't be submitting anything. But that's the thing. Erica, Lamont, and Nikki have completely different agendas in terms of what they will want. Like, Erica has already told us she would nominate Nikki and Frankie, which creates a very interesting dynamic if that ends up staying true with Jabbar, Lamont, and Sarah as our voters. Like, Jabbar wants Nikki out. Sarah likes both of them, and I think Lamont wants Frankie out because Frankie and Lamont had a very interesting call yesterday where Frankie, who has not posted a single score on the BBH arcade, not a bad score, not posted a single score, none, zero, posted zero, nothing. And he's telling Lamont, well, I've talked to you the least, so I have no clue how else I would nominate other than based on that factor. Babes, you're not winning, so why would you say that?
I think it was about voting too. Like, it was literally not just about nominating. It was like, in general, he was like, oh, we've spoken the least, so I'm not really sure how to go about that moving forward within our team. And I was like, girl.
He basically said, because I've talked to you the least, if you're nominated and I'm not, I would vote you out. Like, without saying that, but that's what he said.
Yep. Yeah, not a good look on that one. Like, I appreciate the honesty, but in a group of 6, Frankie, babes, there's nowhere to hide. This was not the one. So, like, even with an Erica nom set of Frankie and Nikki, I don't know who leaves because it hinges on Sarah. And Sarah had a better connection with Nikki on day 0, but then got to meet Frankie yesterday and really likes Frankie as well. So I don't know where that stands. Lamont, no fucking idea what he would do. Frankie's for sure going up. I would assume that I forgot. We have his rankings. I just forget to check them because they happen so frequently. Where are his rankings?
Let's see.
Oh, it would be Erica.
Yeah, I remember somebody in the VL said that Erica took a huge hit.
Yeah,
she fell.
Yeah, Jabbar, Sarah, and Nikki are 2nd, 3rd, and 4th for him. So it definitely would be Erica and Frankie for him. And then Nikki, no fucking idea what Miss Nikki would do, because she kind of was asleep when this all went down. So I don't think she's fully like wrapped her full brain around what all is happening just yet. So once we hear from her, we'll let you know. But yeah, these three different HOHs have completely different agendas. But I'm the most concerned for Frankie, and then a little bit concerned for Nikki. But those are the 2 people I'm the most concerned for in terms of leaving here from this house. Yeah. But Erica theoretically could go out here. But I think Jabbar, Lamont, and Sarah for me are the safest. I don't see a world in which they're out of here, but who knows? Sarah for sure is not leaving, but Jabbar or Lamont, I guess technically could somehow find a way of leaving. It's the final 6. A veto play could change everything, so I don't want to say too much. But an interesting house nonetheless in terms of the HOH winner dictating what's happening here. So I'm really intrigued. Any other thoughts from the Brain team? Great, because I am enthralled with the team who could win it.
What we really want to talk about.
Oh my god, the Broad team is so good. Like, I don't know what I want. Like, do I want them to be the losing team and actually have to evict someone who goes into the duel, or do I want all this to be for nothing? I don't know. Not sure yet, because it's between Braun and Bubbly to win the team award here to be safe. The Braun team is Trey's team, which was Caro, Liv, Megan, Michael, Preston, and Trey himself. The HOH is not going to Caro, period.
No
the
way.
The other 5 technically are all still trying hard to get it. So it could go to theoretically any of them because they're still trying, and that's all that matters at the end of the day, is that you're still trying to put scores up, because people who are on the leaderboard now could be taken off. So as long as you're still trying to win, it could still go to you. And my God, we have such interesting scenarios here. Liv is doing really well on the leaderboard. She knows that. Liv's scores, we know, are a bit tentative just because the games that she's winning at are ones that are pretty popular right now. Mm-hmm. So we'll see her scores be dethroned.
She did just post 3 new scores in her DR.
God, Liv. Okay, you know what? I love me some Liv.
Wait, I thought she said she didn't want to win.
And we're gonna read her right now. Liv, I love you, but babe, you have to make a decision if you don't want this. Like, she has gone back, forth, zigzagged on what she wants, because here's the issue. Once this twist gets announced, Preston, I think, immediately sees that he's not in a great spot. He has not talked to Trey at all. He's one of the only calls he hasn't been on. And he doesn't have the best relationship with Michael. Has a very good relationship with Megan, and then kind of is like so-so with Caro and Liv.
And he sees that there's 3 16ers in there.
16ers here. Immediately makes an alliance with Caro, Liv, and himself, which is the Whoop Whoop Alliance. And basically gets everyone to agree they won't put each other up. Great move on his behalf, because he was in big-time danger. Period. End of statement.
Yeah. And he still might be, but...
Yeah, he still might be, but he's done a lot to at least alleviate that for himself. So good on him. Like, good move on him. Obviously, it's frustrating from like a prod perspective to see that Megan and Michael have now fallen in this house to be the most vulnerable based off of just kind of a jank alliance that got formed.
Well, and just based on the fact that Preston happened to be on a call with Liv when the results came out and was like, oh, I know you and Carol are really close. And he just ran right to the power. Again, can't fault him for the move. But like, I'm also like, and this is me talking about my friend, so I'm going to preface that. I'm not like, the bias is probably going to jump out. But like, you just left Megan in your fucking dust after you woke up yesterday and said, the two people I want to play this game with are Megan and Erica. And you just left her in the fucking dust because of this. And you didn't even think to include her. And I'm just like, oh, that hurts. It hurts because it's just like, yeah, you boned her so hard.
Yeah.
And he did say to them, I think, well, to Liv, that like I would prefer Megan not to be nominated to go, but like that's still not including her in the group, and it's not guaranteeing anything.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's also just it's just interesting because he like his initial thoughts on Caro were, I don't know if I can trust her or not. I don't know how my relationship is with her. So why didn't you try and make an alliance with the people you actually felt good about, which was Liv and Megan, which would have been a very interesting potential alliance. Now Megan and Liv probably wouldn't have worked because they hadn't talked either. But like, I just like we said, running to where he saw the power structure to be, great on him, good move. Man, it's a little scummy. Like, it's just a little scummy.
Yeah, it's hurting because let's get into Liv's mindset here, because Liv's in a hard spot here because she knows she's doing well right now, so she has to at least consider the option that she is the highest person on this team. Which if it ended right now, it would be her, but the scores are so close that she could end up 5th on this team for all I fucking know. So like right now, she knows she has a high likelihood of being it. So she's now in this alliance with Caro and Preston that she's promised to not nominate them. So now Caro and Preston are off the table. She loves Trey. It was her favorite call on day 0, and she wants to save Trey, but she looks at this power structure and realizes that Trey is in big time danger, and he is. Trey, like, this is not a good layout for Trey at all. Considering he hasn't had a call with Preston. He's also been not bad mouthing Preston, but like Lamont, him and Jabbar had definitely not been the highest on Preston Coleman. So being in that team immediately, his eyes are lasered that way. His call with Michael was fine, but like not the best. So like he definitely is there. And now Liv is like, how do I save Trey here? How do I save Trey? Because I don't want to nominate Trey, which then forces her into a nomination set of Megan and Michael. But then she just made up with Michael earlier in the day where they're like, hey, Liv literally was the reason Michael touched the block in 16 and got sent home because Jimbo didn't want the HOH and was listening to Liv and what she wanted and said, just put it Michael. Michael then goes home. So Liv's like, I promise not to do you dirty in this game. So now what does she have to, like, Megan's a lock for her, but now she's in between a rock and a hard place of like, well, fuck, I don't want to burn Michael, but I don't want to put up Trey because she doesn't know what happened. Like, where does Michael vote in terms of Trey? Because she knows Preston will evict Trey. She knows Caro will save Trey, but where does Michael stand in all of this? No one knows. But she's also worried on the flip side of where does Trey view Michael? If she puts up Michael and Megan, where does Trey stand? Because she knows, again, Preston is going to evict Michael. So she doesn't know what to do. When we talked about this yesterday in the round 1 chat, the answer is right in front of her. It's nominate Preston with Megan. You know Preston is the one person who's going to try and save Megan. So just put them up next to each other. If you want Megan to leave, you have to eliminate someone who's going to vote to save her when there's only 3 voters, which is to put up Preston. I mean, not to fucking mention, if Preston wins the veto up against a nom set of Megan with either Michael or Trey, and he senses the fact that Megan might not stay, he's gonna fucking use it and save her.
And then Trey noms.
Like, the Liv is having a perpetual spiral because now she's considering maybe pawning Caro on the block. It is a mess express for her.
It's really wild.
Didn't want it yesterday. She seemed like, okay, maybe it's best because she was saying her priority here is saving Trey. That's her biggest priority, making sure Trey stays. And she was talking to Caro, who was like, that's our priority as well. Trey cannot leave. And they were like, well, fuck. The only way we can guarantee Trey staying is if we're both voters. If both Caro and Liv are voting, it doesn't matter. Trey's staying. So she's like, great, I shouldn't win. And then she just submits 3 fucking scores this morning. Babes, what is the plan here? Are you trying to win?
But that's the thing. She thinks she doesn't think she gets nominated against almost anyone. Like she's like, oh, I think Megan might be my best option to leave here, but I still don't think Megan would nominate me.
Yeah.
Like Liv is probably in a good spot. I think she's probably at a very low risk of going home out of this group of people. But I think there's just such a fear about it that she just can't help herself but grasp and reach out and try to win at the end of the day. And she'd rather deal with the mess of having to nominate people and figure that out than potentially be unsafe. It's going to be a disaster. And good on Preston for making it difficult on Liv and Caro to not see him as a consideration. Like, good on him for getting in there and doing that. I'm wondering if that will last today. Because they were basically like on a call with Preston saying, we'll just put up Megan and Michael. And then they got on a call together and were like, well, we really don't want to do that to Michael. And then Liv continued to spiral in her DR saying like, I would feel fucking awful if I did that to Michael again. And now I think she potentially wouldn't even put him up at all. Like it's a very crazy, very, very, very crazy scenario.
Yeah, it's hard. But then you like, and what makes it even harder is when you look at the other person who has alluded to doing well to the other people on his team, and they know that he is also doing well on the leaderboard. And that's Michael, who has alluded to that he's doing well. Michael is doing well, has a chance to win it as well. And he is saying in his DR that he would not touch Caro or Liv. He would keep both of his 16 players. Yeah, please.
I think it's so loud.
No, you're fine. Like, what makes it even harder is seeing Liv and Caro like toy with the fact of like, maybe I'll nominate Michael. Maybe we will. Sorry, I'm cackling.
Dan, your keyboard is so loud.
Is it not going? Oh my goodness!
No, Dan. No, please have the floor, Dan, because you've been trying to say something.
No, everything in my head is like, well, if we just spoil it, it'd make this conversation a lot easier. But I'm trying not to spoil things. But I mean, ultimately, Liv and Michael just need to talk. If they talked and said like, "Hey, I feel good about how I'm doing in this competition," I think they would get a lot more clarity for themselves and how they need to play this round out.
Yeah. And also, Michael doesn't want Trey to go. So, like, if it's Trey versus Megan on the block, my gut tells me that he would want Megan to go over Trey. So that's what Liv and Caro want. So if they just talked to him and asked him, he would probably say that. And then this whole thing would not be a problem.
Well, Caro did ask him, and he did not tell her because, and this is according to our field reporter, Sarah D, his sister, that he's a little skeptical because now everything's in a much more narrow, playing field. And he's like, who can I really trust? And can I actually trust them? Are they actually going to work with me?
Which
so,
because they don't really have his best interests at heart, but like,
I know.
Yeah. And I'm going to say something that's just awful, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't care. This is what I'm kind of hoping happens. I'm hoping Michael wins the HOH.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that Preston gets fucking scared as hell. And he runs to Michael and says, Caro and Liv yesterday were perfectly content with you sitting on the block. And then just like get the wheels spinning, get the gears turning. I'm living for that like evilness that might could potentially come out. Like it would be kind of iconic, honestly.
So one new development, just to flag, is according to Lee in our prod chat, Preston is only 2 spots behind on the first place of HOH because other people are getting knocked out. So that is a whole other thing that I don't think we've necessarily considered.
I've not thought about that at all.
Oh no, that was my next. Once we were done with Michael, just because I feel so off about Michael, because Michael's over here being like, I would protect Caro and live with my entire chest, and I'm like, they're willing to throw you on the block. Like, they want you to stay, but like, they're willing to put you in that position of possibly going home and putting all the power in Trey's hands to decide if you stay or not. And all of this is happening. You got like Liv battling her spiral. You got Michael who's like, I'm gonna protect 16 strong while it's not 16 strong. And then you've got Preston who's slowly but surely creeping up in the rankings. And now Preston has an ability to flip the entire script, who Megan goes from most in danger to least in danger. There's no way in hell Megan's touching the block. And now all pressure would then fall on Michael and Trey, with Trey being the target. But little does he know that Caro and Liv are not evicting Trey. They would not. They'll say it to his face, oh yeah, we'll evict Trey, babes. They won't, because this Trey v. Preston rivalry is slowly bubbling up. They both want each other out in their respective houses. But sadly, Michael would get the boot here.
Yeah.
Liv and Caro would cut Michael.
He would have a meltdown if Caro or Liv put him up on the block. What is he going to do when they vote him out? When he's sitting on the block against Trey? Like, Lord mess.
Lord almighty.
That can't happen. I can't even have us like speak that into existence. That would be so horrible.
Like, this
really horrible.
This house is a disaster that I cannot wait to see like fully play out, because we don't know who the HOH is going to be. Like the Brains group, where the HOH kind of dictates what's happening, but they have a decent idea of like who's going to be on the block. These HOHs completely drastically change the nomination sets. They're completely different. The targets are completely different. The voters would be different. How it all plays out would be so intriguing to watch. All eyes are on Braun for me. Like, I'm going to be glued to my screen tonight when HOH gets nominated. Like, the HOH comes out, like, sure, everyone's going to be calling. I'm going to be on all the Braun calls, because the Braun calls are going to be beyond so good. Like, no offense to Bubbly and Brain, but like Bubbly and like, once we know the HOH and Brain, we'll have a decent idea where that's going. Bubbly, we already know where that's heading. Those two houses, cool, whatever, cool, you do your own thing. Braun babes, oh, I'm locked and loaded, because there's so much information. Like, as Stokes was saying, if it gets spilled, oh god, like, this could really blow up any which way or form. I'm so excited to see how Braun plays out. But that's kind of where everything is shaken up right now. It truly, there's a lot still left to be played. People are withholding scores. That's the beauty of the arcade, is that if you're on the board right now, there's only one place to go, and that's down, unless you're submitting new scores. So these people who are currently leading only have room to fall unless they find new scores. And the people who are kind of doing well right now are pretty busy today. So the people who are actually at the bottom of the leaderboard have all but today to climb up and kind of dethrone them. So hell, I mean, there could be an HOH winner we didn't even discuss today because they weren't in consideration, and then within
drop all their scores.
And they drop all their scores. Next thing you know, we'd even talk about the potential of them being HOH, and they've won because they have 0 points right now. So it's so intriguing. The twist is delivering, and I really cannot wait to see how this all shapes out, because it's going to shape out in a nasty boot regardless. Like, I'm going to feel so sad for whoever ultimately bites the bullet here, because in my heart, I think that the person who leaves here would not have left in a group of 18. That's what I'm feeling in my heart right now. If I had to bet,
I agree with that.
100%.
I think the person who leaves here is not the person who would have left in a combined house of 18. So like, that's going to hurt in that sense. But you had 18 billion shots to save yourself in this new twist format. There's so many ways to save yourself. So like, can't feel too bad, but it's going to hurt regardless, because everyone called yesterday. Like, we don't, like, not to bash Monica Malati, love her to death in all my heart. The last time we had an all-returning season, the first boot was super easy. Monica wasn't around. She had what was coming. Everyone showed up yesterday. Like, even the people who weren't around day 0, like Jabbar wasn't around much day 0, called 13, 14 people. Madison called 7 people. Like, everyone showed up yesterday. So that's what's gonna like hurt, is that everyone has done everything that would be necessary to stay in a round 1 of normal BBH, but it's not enough this season.
I'm already in pain. Already suffering. Just thinking about, well, mostly like my member of Michael Bergeron fan club, like my heart breaks already for what could potentially happen to Michael and like how he is gonna feel about it.
Yeah.
This is just rotted, and I'm like terrified.
I am known. I'm not known to be like a crier when it comes to watching the seasons play out. I did cry in season 15 because of a situation, and I cried last night thinking about Michael. And this is gonna, and Megan, when you watch this back, it's not about you, babes, because you're getting twisted. If you lose, it's because you got twist screwed and you got thrown under the bus by an ally in a way. If Michael loses, it's because he's getting absolutely just like slit his throat by his season. And that is what's heartbreaking to me. I think that's what made me so upset last night, was because it's just, I get it, it's circumstantial. I get it that they got to play and do what they think is best for them. I'm not upset about that for them, at them for that. What made me emotional was how much enjoyment Michael has been bringing to every single person on this cast, to the VL, to the production team, and to just see him just getting absolutely murdered in cold blood by people that he's willing to ride with and play the game with is really, really, really breaking my heart. And I woke up today and I had just the sickest feeling in my stomach. Like I was like all morning, I've been feeling so absolutely rotted. And yeah, I would be devastated. I would be Devo if Michael leaves, and I'll be Devo if any of this team leaves. They're all serving. But just to go out in that way for Michael would be so incredibly heartbreaking. And again, not his fault. Nothing that I think he could have done better or worse. So
he hasn't done anything wrong.
He's done nothing wrong. So
yeah,
I'm just gonna say, let's put it out there. Even if Michael gets nominated, he's at least this time he has a chance to play the veto. Because before he was the veto, so he can win the veto, and then if he gets nommed or hears about what Caro and Liv did by like, if he gets nommed by Liv or whatever, I hope that he would come back and just like
be done with them.
Sure, but like also like in a way that would be good for him and like work out for him to go further. But everything that you said, Mitchell, I echo the same.
And I think why it hits harder is because we know what the veto is, and this is not necessarily something that I would see Michael thriving at specifically. Also within his group of 6, like he's not the front runner to win that, nor is he second or third in my head of who would win that challenge. Like that also is hurting as well, being like, I don't think he wins the veto either. So it's like, it's HOH or nothing. He has for sure safety, he has to be the head of household. But I know he's busy at work today. The scores are changing. I don't know what he has in his arsenal that's saved up. I don't know. So like watching you can see the card tower kind of start to collapse. It's just a question of what remains of the card tower at the end of the day. And I don't know how much remains. So like I know, I'm sorry, but I have to say it. I don't want to give you people false hope. It's a challenge that anyone can win. Theoretically, he can win it. It's just like you come in with a preconception of who likely will win it just based off of how.
Is this a competition that I would have thought Michael would do well at, given how he performed in his season? No, just to be straight up. But we'll see. He might surprise us. He might be good at it. Who knows? So
exactly. So that's what I'm hoping to see. But Braun, I mean, here's how, honestly, like the more I've talked about it today, the more I'm on team Braun. That safety, babes. Send Bubbly to fucking eviction town.
I'm sorry to the people on Bubbly, but like I can't.
It's what the house wants. It's what the house wants.
And here's the tea. It is what the house wants. Like you got Madison and Rizzo and Victoria sitting right there, who would be the nominees for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about it a lot, but like they are really benefiting from this twist right at this point in time, because one of those three likely would have been the first boot. And I don't see many of them doing much to try and improve that position. I think they all are aware that they're not in great spots, and they don't really seem to be doing anything about it. So I'm kind of like, you made your bed, you gotta lie in it.
Yeah, especially, and that's the thing. And like in here, and I guess I'll drop a little bit of the cat out of the bag. Bubbly is winning right now, the team challenge, in terms of who would be safe. It's Bubbly. And they're winning by a decent margin. It's not impossible to overtake, especially knowing that the scores that are being held back right now, it's very much possible that Bubbly is not the winning team at the end of the day. Bubbly's winning by a decent margin. If it was to end right now, it would not be very difficult for this team to figure out that they're the winning team, because there are people high enough on the leaderboard that aren't crowned HOH. They're going to be like, wait a minute, I didn't win HOH and I'm that high on the leaderboard? Oh, wait a minute, hold on here. We might be the winning team. Because this is what happened in 15. Amanda Lindgren was the second highest overall scorer in the arcade, but wasn't HOH in her own bunker because Lee was the overall top scorer and in her bunker. So they immediately realized that they're the winning team. They're like, oh, Amanda was like, it doesn't matter. And wink, wink. Like, I can't say my agent name, but I think our bunker is fine, because they figured it out. Because hello, if you're second overall and you still aren't HOH, your team is doing pretty fucking well. So right now, if it ended right now, it would not be difficult for this team to realize that they're the winning team. Obviously, scores will change, but if the scores roughly stay the same, Rizzo, Victoria, and Madison will quickly figure out that they're safe, and hopefully will start to then do stuff to increase their positions, knowing that they don't have to worry about this twist, that they can then just move forward and be like, hey, I'm in round 2. I'll be here in a couple of days. Let's start making some inroads. So we'll see how that plays out for them. I imagine this leaderboard will drastically change, so that might not be an outcome that happens, but who is to know? But if they continue to dominate the way that they are so far, they'll figure out that they're safe, and that likely will then be told to the other two teams. So then who will then know that this is like serious for them. Like, this is, the eviction is real. So I think that's everything we have to talk about. We've talked about all the stuff, but like everything we talked about might not matter, because the results are completely unknown and forever changing. Like, as we were here, there were so many scores submitted that Lee has been updating. Thank you so much, Lee. There's so many things that have been updating in the background, and leaderboards have changed a ton while we've just been sitting here talking. Yeah, like literally looking at it right now. There's so many different scores up here. So I'm excited to see what plays out. Stick with us, because 6 p.m. Eastern, I'll set an event in the Discord. When we drop the results will be the moment where this house kind of explodes a little bit. We'll kind of see. We won't tell you which team is safe unless they figure it out themselves. Like in that case, like if Bubbly goes on to completely eat up the competition and they figure out that they're safe, we won't hide that from y'all, because it'll become part of the dynamic. But we're hoping that it's close enough where it's still a secret. We're going to keep it a secret, barring all of that. So, but 6 p.m. will be a fun time as we crown our HOHs, and the hard decisions have to start coming in. So stick with us. 6 p.m. results. We'll have noms between like 9 and 9:30, and then the veto is not live. It's done on their own time, so don't be sticking around for that. But I know Ashley and Tay and Max, everyone else in Stokes has been streaming calls. Will keep you plenty fed in the Discord, because that's what they do. So
shout out to them.
Yes. Any last thoughts before I hit end stream?
Yeah, everyone, just give someone you love a hug.
It might be dueling by the end of the night.
Cackling. Well, with that being said, we'll keep you updated, and we'll catch you in Discord later tonight. Bye, everybody.